players are also going to reach free agency sooner. Whether it's 5 year service time or 29 and a half years of age. I don't know exactly which one it's going to be. I think it's actually going to be whichever one comes first.
So you can avoid messy arbitration stuff, right?
Right.
Like Chris Bryant.
Yeah, that's a messy one.
Vladdy Jr. is probably going to make like only 6 digits next year.
Really?
6 digits. Yeah, because
wow.
What is he? He was a rookie in 2020, correct?
He was a rookie in 2019.
2019.
Okay, so he'd be going into it. So he probably won't make 6 digits, but I mean, it'll only be like maybe $1.5–2 million. Like someone like Pete Alonso, he won the home run derby and made $1 million because I think that's what the prize was for the winner. And I think they talked about it on the broadcast. Like his salary is $562K, something like that,
Wow.
which is absurd for the player that he is. Like even Juan Soto probably made close to $500K last year, second or third in MVP voting, which is a joke. Also, I think they're going to stick with a no salary cap. So teams like the A's are going to probably stay the A's. As bad as it is for the teams with a little bit less money, I think that's the owners are going to keep it like that because they're going to give the players the DH. They're going to give them free agency sooner. So I think like someone like Steve Cohen with the Mets who are going out and signing every single free agent, it's annoying, but since players are getting DH and earlier free agency, the owners are gonna have to keep something, and that's gonna be the no salary cap.
How do you guys kind of piggybacking off that think that will impact the game as a whole? Because I think there's a disparity between teams that spend a lot, and the Phillies spend a lot and they're not very good, and teams that don't spend a lot and can't afford to spend a lot. So the Rays don't spend a lot, but they're good. But the Orioles and the A's don't spend a lot and they're falling apart. And how do we fix that problem of kind of tanking, right, and not being good and not even really trying to win as the Orioles have for maybe the past 5-6 years? And they get these draft picks, but it's not like the NFL or the NBA where you get a top 3, top 5 pick and they turn your team around. How do you think
it's not like an immediate impact talent. And that actually goes into my next point. Like maybe, I guess it's kind of like a pipe dream, but there's an idea out there that the MLB will institute like a draft lottery. And instead of like the Orioles, who will probably win 40 games this year, they could win that many games and end up with like the 10th, maybe not the 10th pick, but somewhere around 4 or 5. And they're a team that hasn't even really hit on any of their draft picks recently because they've been bad for not as long as the Phillies, but it feels that way because they don't have a key name. They don't have like a star player. The Phillies have had like Rhys Hoskins come through the pipeline. They've had Aaron Nola come through the pipeline. Like there's no, maybe other than John Means and Manny Machado until they traded him, that those two are like the only two relevant players in the Orioles. I know they have that one outfielder. I can't think of his name off the top of my head.
The one I wanted to trade for the corner outfielder.
Yeah.
Wait, for what team?
The Orioles.
Are you talking about Mullen?
Yeah, that's who it is. I was gonna say.
Yeah, Cedric Mullen. Yeah, he's a beast. He's like, if you watch him play, he's like actually one of the best like outfielders in the league right now, along with Brian Reynolds, the guy in the Pirates. He's phenomenal.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. You have him, and then you have Trey Mancini. After everything that he's been through with the cancer and the comeback, he's been a remarkable story. But those two, Cedric Mullins and Trey Mancini, they're like the closest thing to a household name that you have in Baltimore. And when you're playing a division with the Yankees and the Red Sox, like that's not really going to cut it. You got to start hitting on these draft picks just to keep it like competitive. And the Phillies don't even have that great a draft record, but when they were like really, really terrible from like 2014 to 2017 or 2018, like they had a few prospects come up and make names for themselves. That's where you get Rhys Hoskins, Aaron Nola, Alfaro until they traded him in the JT deal. Like at some point, you can't keep rewarding bad teams for tanking, not spending money, and not hitting on their draft picks. Like you gotta come up with a way for them to actually try to stay competitive while opening up a window for the future.
I agree. And you know what? I was kind of thinking, like, what if a way that they could actually go by with this rule with like keeping like I kind of do like having the luxury tax, like no salary cap, because it honestly kind of gives more ecstatic in baseball. But what if they kind of fix the luxury tax where some of that tax actually can go to other franchises, like lower franchise teams of that year, like when they were like, you know, like I don't know how to explain it. It's like, so let's say like a team was like really good, they were over the luxury tax. If that team was really good, the last place teams could get a bit of the pie of that. It might be an unfair advantage, but it could
Instead
actually
of
help
giving
out.
that to the league, it would go to the team.
Yeah, like
Yeah,
I think
there
that
is.
would work better.
Dodgers.
I think there's
Like,
a system in place for that. I actually learned about it last semester. It's the MLB's revenue sharing through the central fund. Like every team in the MLB, whether you're the Yankees paying or the Dodgers paying 300 mil on your team every year, or the Orioles or Pirates or Rays spending 30 mil, every team sends a portion of their revenue into the central fund, and there's an equation that breaks it up evenly. Like the teams that spend less are going to get more money, so there's less of a reason for them to spend. And then teams like the Dodgers and Yankees and Phillies, they're not going to get as much money because they already spend so much. So
especially.
that's one way. And then back to the salary cap talk. If the MLB were to institute a salary cap, that would actually be one way to fix it. Because obviously, salary cap, like you can't be spending 300 mil on your roster. That payroll, like I don't know what the salary cap would be, but that would be way over the cap. There would be a salary cap floor too. So teams would have to reach the salary cap floor. And if you don't reach the floor, you're like automatically assigned players, or I'm not sure what would happen if you don't reach the floor, but that is one way that
I think that'd be, sorry, not to cut you off, interesting if there was a cap, because the worst case scenario is you could get like the NHL, but there could be a lot less elasticity between rosters in terms of trades and whatnot. Because like you trade for a guy and he really has to fit under that cap if it's a need, like a hard cap, instead of trading for a rental and it puts you over the tax or whatever that may be. I think that's interesting.
Yeah, back to the Betts deal. The Dodgers took on David Price too as like more of a salary dump for the Red Sox. But in reality, like David Price is former Cy Young winner, been to the playoffs multiple times. I mean, he won a ring with the Red Sox as well. He's not just a salary dump. Even though he set out the season, he's an experienced pitcher. He knows how to pitch, knows how to win games. Like he's an asset. He's not just a salary dump.
Question for you guys. Do you think the Phillies, so, let's say hypothetically the tax thresholds is at like 212 million, 215 million. Do you think that the Phillies with their payroll is right now can compete for an NL East title without going over that tax? So say you're adding a outfielder like a Schwarber or something for a 17 mil a year, and then maybe another couple corner pieces for 9, 2, or 6 mil a year each. Do you guys think we can actually be competitive without breaking that ceiling, or do you think we need to?
I personally like to think that we need to, because like in my head, like when you say like think about the sports itself, it's like, oh, if you just keep paying more, you can. But honestly, I don't think you need to. I think if you could find the right players for the job, who you think is going to best fit the organization, like I do think Kyle Schwarber is perfect for Philadelphia. I think he just has a Philadelphia mindset. But if you go and look at the other players in that league and you kind of figure out like how things are done. I really think you get players who are not well known but perfect for Philadelphia. I'm trying to think of a player that like is on the free agency that like we need that like could be perfect for us. And I think it was Brad Hand, but he got signed up from what team was that?
I'm not sure you got him. You could look at a guy like Castellanos as well, who I like a lot. Now he'll be a little bit pricier. So where you may have to, if Middleton indeed doesn't want to go over the cap, you're gonna have to like skimp in other areas. So while I do agree, I think we need middle of the order presence. I really think that we need a top of the order presence and pitching depth, especially starting pitching depth, which isn't really talked about, but we don't know when Eflin's coming back. We don't know what Aaron Nola is going to look like. We hope Ranger can be good still. Now, Ranger doesn't really have, I hate to say it, elite stuff. He was really good for a kind of extended period of time. We don't know what he's going to look like over a full season as a starter. What do you guys think?
Oh, dude, I actually like Ranger. I think he has a nasty fastball. He has that slider. I think, I mean, yeah, I do understand he doesn't have a lot to give, which personally, I always thought he was the best closer. But then I was really shocked, though, to see how he was pitching as a starter. I think he's very underrated. I think he's going to be rarely looked at. And like when he's ever a free agent or for trading even, people are going to want him. If he can learn how to throw maybe a curveball, like a really nasty curveball, I think he could be one of the best pitchers in the NL East. I think without a doubt. And I believed it. When I saw him, there was just something about him that like had this like fire in him. I don't know how to explain it. Like it was like that. It was when
he's always calm. I know what you're talking about. He's always calm.
That's perfect.
He's never. It's like sometimes you gotta like feel for a pulse because he's kind of like Aaron Nola. Back when Aaron Nola was like one of the better pitchers in the league, there's not really a pulse. He shows no emotion. He's always calm, and he doesn't have the best stuff, but he's one of those guys that just knows how to pitch. He can hit his spots. He's got like 2 or 3 good pitches that he can go to. He's got a pretty decent mix. Fastball, slider, probably another off-speed changeup, maybe, which is a basic mitch. But when you know how to use them effectively, and you can hit spots, and you have someone as good as JT back there calling a game, then you know, like, hey, we got something we can work with here. And whether it was teams not having a book on him really, or who really knows, but I mean, I think the Phillies have something there as maybe a number 3 if Eflin's back, maybe as a 4. But I think if the rotation stays healthy, which is a big if with Eflin's knees, Wheeler threw a lot of innings last year. Nola always collapses in September. But if that rotation can stay average to above average for 95% of the year, that should put the Phillies around 80 wins. And if the bullpen is even close to league average, I mean, we're talking about a potential division winner. Even if the bullpen's been bottom 3 in the league for the last, feels like 20 years, but even if they just move up to like from like 28th to like 22nd, which is still atrocious and terrible, but that's probably good enough to get them to 87 to 90 wins. And if they come out of the CBA with an expanded playoff, like we're looking at a playoff team here.
That'd be cool.
Yeah, and I agree.
Yeah, and then to build off of that, another outfielder that I would love to have here in Philly, and it seems like absolutely no one wants him, is Jorge Soler. He can hit at the top of the lineup. He's now, I don't know if he's a 2-time World Series champion. I don't remember if he won one with Kansas City in 2015.
I think he did.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah, but the dude's just a monster. He hits leadoff. He can play left field. You could probably throw him in center field if you really needed to, if Moniak and Vierling aren't there yet. But the dude just mashes. He'll hit probably between 240, 250, get on base at like maybe a 300 clip, but we're talking about 25 to 30 home runs in Philly. I would take that coupled with 85 RBIs maybe, and I mean, just maybe a league average defense. I think getting him on maybe a 1 or 2 year deal for, I don't know, maybe $8 million a year. It's a lot less than Schwarber. It's a lot less than Castellanos. It's definitely an unpopular pick, but I feel like he might be a better fit necessarily. I don't know. What do you like? I know
I think that's a
you
good
guys both
point.
said Schwarber and Castellanos, but
Well, those
Solera,
guys
I
are.
think, is definitely worth a look.
I think Solera's a great idea because those guys are the big ticket names, but Solera also addresses that need at the top of the lineup. Because in the 1-2 slots, there was like a literally bottom two in the league, OBP and OBS. And they wanted to have Reese Hoskins hit second, and he's not really that kind of hitter anymore. He's just a power hitter. So while I agree with the Schwarber Castellanos big ticket move, I think I like what you're saying there, Connor. There's a big need for that top of the lineup presence. Now, if you could somehow swing a Cedric Mullins trade, Brian Reynolds trade, Keto Marte trade, that'd be cool. But Solera, I haven't thought of that. I think that's a great idea.
Yeah, Soler is actually that was like when I never even thought about him. Like he is on the board.
He flies so far under the radar, and he's coming off a great postseason. So obviously, his salary is probably going to be a little bit inflated, which I think for the Phillies at least, maybe a 1 year deal might be better. Hoping that maybe he hits. Obviously, if you sign him, you want him to play well, but if he doesn't live up to that postseason, maybe after that you bring him back for 2 years at a cheaper price and hope that he can get back to his postseason form from this year. And then even if he does just go off next year, then you bring him back for however much he wants.
Okay, yeah, I totally agree. Now, I actually want to touch base quick, and I feel bad always like moving around. That's one thing I hate doing. But the tweet came up on my phone and was talking about the whole Manfred Ken Rosenthal situation. If you guys know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, that's an absolute joke, by the way, that MLB Network's going to let him go.
Yeah,
it's
like
he's on the field interviewing players at the All-Star game. He's one of the best national reporters out there. He's definitely one of my best Twitter follows, for sure. During the offseason, I have his tweet notifications on. The dude's just as plugged in as anyone else. He knows what's going on within the industry, and MLB Network, that's just a complete joke that he gets laid off for saying what everyone else is saying. He just has a bigger following to get it out to. I think it's just absolute clown. Manfred's a clown. It's just not a good look for MLB at all. MLB Network, anyone within that organization, franchise, whatever they are. I'm glad he's still working with Fox though. Fox and one of The Athletic, I think it is.
Yeah, he's on The Athletic a lot.
Yeah, I mean, whoever, if he can pick up somewhere else, then they'll be so lucky to get him. I know he will, but I don't know if it'll happen until maybe after the lockout's over, which honestly could drag on for months because they haven't even met yet. And I don't know if they will for the rest of the month. And then the next thing you know, we're February and spring training is like 2 weeks away.
Yeah, it's like kind of crazy to think that like he's focusing on a freaking reporter in his network, but not focusing on the fact that he might not even have a freaking sport league to play in the coming months. Like Manfred, ever since the Astro situation back in 2017, when I personally thought the Astros should have been actually severely punished. They cheated. They got caught and they cheated. Yeah. They weren't.
Yeah.
And like he did nothing for the situation. He done nothing now. And baseballs are becoming a joke, sadly, in the sense of like how people are looking at it. Like I'm sick and tired of people.
By the way, we haven't even touched on the two different kinds of baseballs that they use during the season.
Exactly.
I mean, that's I don't even have a word for that other than right now MLB is just a complete circus. The Players Association have every right to hold out for as long as they want. I'm going to be pissed off and disappointed if there's not a season, but really if the players don't want to negotiate, you can't really blame them. Manfred's a joke commissioner. and it's just becoming a laughing stock.
It's unfortunate because it's reaching almost NFL Goodell territory, or maybe it's surpassed
I
that.
think-
And
Honestly, I
I-
think we're way past
think
that.
you're way
I think
past
he's
that.
close to Bateman. NHL Bateman.
I don't know. Bateman's
there you
going
go.
into the Hall of Fame.
Well,
So-
Bateman, he did make hockey big, but he has made some very terrible decisions in the early of his career that made a lot of people hate him. Goodell
it's
is
just
bad in his
that
own
and
right, but I think Manfred's the
Bateman's-
worst on them all.
Bateman's personality makes him a lot easier to hate, and so does Goodell's personality. Goodell just comes across as a bit of a weirdo, but
Yeah.
I mean, Manfred just like if you saw what Manfred was doing and you weren't a baseball follower, you would ask if this guy had any idea what he was doing.
It seems like the actions of a near desperate man trying to protect his boys club of the owners in their best interest and trying to protect his name with the Ken Rosenthal thing. It's kind of an interesting point because Ken Rosenthal gets let go of MLB Network. And is there any real parity for it? MLB Network covering the NFL or the MLB? You know what I mean? Like NFL Network covering the NFL. What can you really say badly about it? But if baseball is going to become such like a protected entity when you're literally doing a social experiment using two different types of balls, changing up rules right before wild card games, it's ridiculous. And you're
Not
I know you
following the
need to
rules that
try
they
and change
set
the game.
with COVID
What's
too.
up?
They're just not even following the protocols and guidelines that they put in
No.
place for COVID.
No.
Yeah, no, that's true.
It's not an example for like making a burgeoning growing sport.
Right, MLB should be wanting to reach a new audience. Right now, they're deterring the one that they currently have. So it's not good for a dying sport. It's not good already, but it's definitely not good for a dying sport.
No, I know. And like what they need to really do the most is try to get baseball in touch with the younger fans, because I do know people my age who like the sport because we were kind of the last ones where baseball wasn't dying. Like I think it really started dying down in like 2012, right after the Phillies started like actually when they started to suck, because I think that was around when who was the guy before Manfred? Sager?
So,
Seller, yeah. He kind of destroyed baseball. He had a really great like beginning, but then when everything came out about the A-Rod like situation, that's when everything started going downhill because people are like, oh, these players are just using PEDs and stuff. And then that's what's caused like this kind of decline of baseball because people started watching sports like basketball. Basketball got big in the United States in the past 10 years. Bigger than what it was always big before, but it got a lot bigger. I think even for me personally, I think sadly, like basketball surpassed baseball in popularity.
Sure.
It
I
definitely.
mean, I can tell you that
100%.
look, like all of my friends that I went to college with, even the kids I played on the baseball team with, they don't watch a lot of baseball. I don't watch baseball really other than the Phillies. I watch it, and if you haven't played like baseball growing up or weren't into it, I wouldn't know why you would watch. I mean, games are literally taking 3 hours. They're the longest they've ever been. At times, it could be like watching paint dry. I mean, basketball is probably the most exciting thing to watch on TV. NHL is fun, or NHL is a hoot. The NFL is always going to be mega popular. So it's this long, slow drag of a game that's kind of, stabbing its own wounds in terms of just not appealing to anyone at a younger rate. And it's hard because I mean, look, we could go into 1,000 different theories on this. I think the shift is killing the game a little bit. I think you need to let players have the juiced up balls. I think you need to have them use substances. I think you need to do everything to make it more exciting instead of having this, we have the shift, we're going to play just to win versus it's no fun to watch when, you have men on base and then there's a ground ball up the middle and it's double play because the, shortstop's behind second base.
No, and that's what they're even trying to do to speed games up now, because that's what they want. They just want these games to go as fast as you can. And like it's kind of even changing like the MLB games, because I don't remember there ever being a shift in like the older MLB games till I started playing this year, when like players would just shift around. I'm like, how are they moving? It's just that's what's happening to the game. It's now becoming like it's almost like
Oh, are
becoming
you talking
modified
about like
baseball.
the show games, like the video game?
Yeah.
I know what you're saying now.
Is it in the video game?
Yeah, it's in the video game.
Yeah, it's
Oh,
you see it on like the bottom of the screen. It's like defense is now in this shift, and like I didn't even put them there, but whatever.
Yeah, like I legit, I think I played with Rafael Davies, like the Red Sox shortstop or second baseman. He's fire. He got big this year. They moved the players and I got a bad double play because like of the shits. I'm like, this is stupid. Like I stopped playing after that game. But like, I think that's the point. Like baseball they're trying to make scientific stuff with baseball when they're really like not doing anything. Like, I think we're at a point where we just have to like pray that Manfred's gone. And the people are saying like, oh, the next person in line is going to be bad. Then clear house, find other people. Don't keep the old people in there. Make a whole new area. Make it so that people can go into the games, into this league center commissioner. Sorry, my brain just like blizzard. Long day. I had no work yesterday, so like I was just resting all day. But what I'm trying to say is we need a new commissioner, new vice presidents of the companies and stuff to actually come in and take control and fix baseball to make it more popular again. Because it still is popular. Little League is still popular. People go there all the time.
Extremely well in regional markets.
Exactly.
With like the fan bases, it does very well, but it just doesn't compete with a younger audience. Like the average baseball fan is literally in their 60s, and it doesn't do well on a national scale.
Agreed.
But yeah, I mean, what do you guys think? It's pretty cool.
I agree 100% with everything you said. I was thinking of one way that they might be able to make games a little bit more fun. That might be by limiting the amount of pickoff attempts you can have.
There you go.
Say if you kept it to 3 an inning, it's a better pace of play. Base runners are going to have more freedom. It's going to bring back stolen bases, which the game keeps saying that they wanted to bring back. It's going to lead to more runs being scored, and people would rather see offense than defense. I mean, don't get me wrong, shutouts are great, no hitters are awesome, but whenever you have a game that finishes 2-1, like that's boring.
Yeah.
I totally agree.
Yeah, in general, it's just more fun for the fans. I think whenever you have a guy like Bryce Harper on base who runs the bases like his ass is on fire, it's pretty much a guarantee that he'll steal a second base because the dude wants to win. And when you have players like that, it'll improve the defense too. Like catchers are gonna have better arms. Shortstop, second base, you're gonna have to get there will be more hobby buys as tags. And there's also
going to make plays.
Throws. Yeah, there will be wild throws that go into second base or in the center field. And then there's going to be more steal homes too, which is cool. I don't know if we're running a little long here. What do you guys think as far as time?
Yeah, I think we're at the 45 minutes threshold. Yeah, we're at 43 minutes right now. So we're about the end of the limit of what we were thinking.
Okay. Well, if there's any last points you guys want to make real quick.
Well, no, I just want to say it was really nice talking to you guys right now. This is the first time we're really doing this podcast, and all around. And it's really cool, how we all came together. We're all part of the same organization for news. And I just want to say I'm really excited to be starting this with you guys every week.
Yeah, I'm pumped. Never even seen you guys before, so I'm glad I get to do that. And I guess listeners, go check us out on Philadelphia Sports Nation, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Also, just to piggyback on what Austin said, I'm really excited for where this could go and what opportunities it could open for all three of us, and just how much fun we can have doing this and where we can go with it. So huge thanks to everyone who's going to listen. And it was awesome being able to get on here with you guys and talk Phils for a little bit.
All right. Well, that will conclude. that will conclude the first podcast of the 215 Seamer. Again, just to repeat, I am Austin Cass, co-host, along with Conor Doherty and Dylan Campbell. I'm so excited that you guys were able to listen, and I hope you guys all have a lovely night. Thank you, everyone.
See you guys.
See you.
See you guys.
So what do you? Oh, wait, we're leaving now.
I guess is a
Oh,
recording.
I was actually going to talk quick. Oh, he left.